And a very happy Jimmy Buffett Friday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, The John Phillips Show. Broadcasting today from New York City. New York, New York. I'll be here today, be back on the plane and back in California on Monday. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
John, it was time for public comment at the LA City Council meeting, and that means it's time for more Korean karaoke. Let's hear the set list for today.
Good morning, Speaker. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
Number one. 我是在等待一个女孩
Oh, everyone loves that song.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic.
Then there was track 2.
Item number 2. 冷冷的冰雨在脸上胡乱地拍，暖暖的眼泪跟寒雨混成一块。
That's a classic.
I think they're playing that on the top 40 stations in Seoul.
But then, for his third track, our public commenter friend may have flown a little too close to the song with a song that was a little too recognizable because he got shut down by the city attorney and council president Marquise Harris Dawson.
Item number 3. 我是在等待，还是在等待，请默默灌溉，去观花谢花开，无法肯定爱，它左右摇摆。
Speaker, I've actually just been informed that this is not on topic for item number 3, so I'm going to ask that you stay on topic.
Are they now paying for a translator to make sure that the man is on topic?
They use Google Translate.
Informed by who? You have been informed by who?
Again, please stick to the items. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was on item number 3. I was on item number 3.
Correct, and I've been informed that is not on topic. So please stick to the agenda items, but you're welcome to move on to general public comment if you'd like.
Speakers should be aware that Google Translate can pick up what you're saying on the mic.
Okay. I will try again next on Tuesday. Sorry about that. I was not well prepared.
You have 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
And here is where our friend made his biggest mistake. He sang a song that even I recognized what he was singing. And at that point, you know that he's not on topic, and you're going to have to call it out because he was singing Michael Jackson's You Are Not Alone.
我是在等待，还是在等待，请默默灌溉，去观花谢花开，无法肯定爱。
Now, did he keep grabbing his crotch while he was singing it?
I could not see behind the podium. It is definitely possible.
How about this? Was Macaulay Culkin under the podium? You know, anytime a friend of mine or someone in my orbit has self-produced a song, they fancied themselves as a singer, and they put together a song in a studio, and they say, here is my song, what do you think about it? And you hear it, and inevitably it's awful. And then you say, well, how's it doing? How is the process of trying to get it out there? Well, it hasn't picked up here in the States yet, but they're playing it at all the hot clubs in Europe. I wonder if they're playing this guy's music at all the hot clubs in Seoul.
It's only a matter of time before this guy goes viral. Now, John, since he did get so rudely interrupted with his singing, do you want to hear his general public comment that is not singing?
Sure.
For the general public comment, I want to. General public comment is. I want to make sure that our council president recognize that it is very racist that to allow people living on the street. I want to make sure this month is February is a Black History Month, and I want to make sure our council president respect Black History Month, that every single black person in the city of LA, they should be awarded by one big house by our council member. And then in our Black History Month, we should not allow black people to struggle to make their car payment. Every one of those black people should receive a free Lamborghini Ferrari by our council president. This is our Black History Month. Every single black person should be entitled for their free payment retirement without even employed. So everybody, black people, should receive their payment by our council member Harris Dawson. Black Lives Matter.
Well, maybe that guy is going to get elected to the council.
Since it's Friday, let's hear the Michael Jackson song one more time.
我是在等待，还是在等待？请默默灌溉，去观花谢花开，无法肯定爱。
Maybe Travis Kelce will end up dating him. I wonder if he can sell out the Nokia Center.
I got so tickled pink when I realized what song that was.
Well, as soon as you played it, I recognized, I guess, the rhythm of it, but it's always hard to tell if it's in a foreign language.
This might be the end of Korean karaoke at the LA City Council meetings.
Well, they seem to be on to him. What Korean song is going to be on topic for an LA City Council meeting?
I'm sure you could find one.
He's going to have to learn a different language. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, yesterday we told you there's a new poll out showing that Kamala Harris, the former vice president of these United States, former attorney general here in California, former DA in San Francisco, former U.S. senator from California, might throw her hat in the race for governor because the seat is going to be open in 2026. There's a new poll out saying if she does, at least among Democratic voters, she's going to be running away with it.
For more on the latest poll from Emerson College and Inside California Politics, here's Fox 40, which hosts Inside California Politics.
She ran and lost the race for president in 2024.
That's got to sting.
Oh, yeah.
But could Kamala Harris run and win the race for California governor in 2026 when Gavin Newsom is termed out? According to this new exclusive poll from Emerson College, Inside California Politics, and The Hill, the answer is yes. The survey...
If she runs, how many people at every campaign rally, at every interview are going to ask her, so what was the real deal with Grampy Joe?
Oh, it's going to be just nonstop embarrassment.
Because she could not throw him under the bus. She could not separate herself from him. So it was pretty much like she was running as him.
Well, now that a little bit of time is in between the presidential race and the gubernatorial race, maybe she'll change her tune and throw Grampy Joe under the hearse.
Do you think they talk at all?
No. No, I don't think he talks to anyone except dead people.
Quite frankly,
the survey finding Harris, who has not said whether she plans to run for governor, as of now would have 57% support among registered Democrats. In a distance.
And as many have pointed out, why is there a poll of registered Democrats when it's an open primary state?
We haven't had a closed primary in years. This is like doing a poll saying, okay, if we made another Die Hard, let's see how it would do on beta.
In a distant second, Democratic former U.S. Senate candidate and former Orange County Congressmember Katie Porter with 9% support.
Katie Porter in second place.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
And you know what? If she comes in second in the open primary, a silver is good enough to get you on the November ballot.
Little D.
Porter, too, has yet to publicly say whether she's running. And rounding out the top five.
She is making a lot of noise, though, at UC Irvine.
Oh, yeah. She's working that whiteboard.
Paul!
And rounding out the top 5, each with less than 5% support, former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa.
Tony V's not even getting 5%.
I'm telling you, you look at recent pictures of Tony V, especially the ones during COVID, he looked like George Lopez on the Jennifer Hudson show. No one is going to elect that as governor.
He got divorced for nothing. Who gets divorced right before they're running for a major office?
Well, and then has a big fight with the judge over keeping their fake name.
Former Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, California Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis.
Oh, great. Eleni's getting 5% with her billions.
For Californians.
Well, I guess Kamala Harris has looked at this field at Antonio Villaraigosa and Eleni Kounalakis and said, if I jump in, I'll have the only name you can spell.
Aren't Eleni and Kamala supposed to be close friends?
Oh, yeah, right. She calls her on her birthday.
California Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis and former state assembly and Senate leader Tony Atkins.
One of 3 Tonys running.
A totally anonymous one at that.
Nobody knows who she is. Even people in her district don't know who she is. And she was Speaker of the Assembly. Or no.
But you know what's funny? Every time you see pictures of her at some rally or some event, she carries herself like she's this big internationally recognized superstar. She acts as if she's David Hasselhoff in Germany. She's got the people all around her. She's got security. She's got the dark glasses. She might as well be in the witness protection program.
If you had 100 random Californians go to a police lineup and ask to identify which one is Tony Atkins, 100 out of 100 would have no idea.
No. Do you think her neighbor would recognize her? Ma'am, can you identify the woman in this picture? Yeah, I think she got cut on the first day over at the LPGA Classic.
And former state assembly and Senate leader Tony Atkins. 17% of respondents, meantime, say they are undecided.
I don't think this is a huge surprise. Kamala Harris obviously has huge name recognition in California. California is still a blue state.
Hey, that's a name I recognize. I vote for that.
That's what people do.
I've seen that name before.
There was a case in, I think it was Monrovia, where there was a guy who was a state senator there. And if we have any listeners from Monrovia, you probably know the story better than I do. But there was a gentleman who was in elected office in that area for decades by the name, and I'm not making this up, of Dick Mountjoy. And once Dick termed out, the seat became open. And his son, whose name was Dennis Mountjoy, and I think he was a bouncer at one of the bars or clubs outside of Santa Anita. He was not an elected office holder. He was not a professional politician. But his name was D. Mountjoy. And he ran for office as D. Mountjoy. And in a crowded primary was able to convince enough people that he was his dad to win.
That's great.
Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson notes California is also Harris's home state, where she served as Attorney General and U.S. Senator before her term as Vice President.
Which means that she has not lived in this state for 4 years.
Nope.
Except when she wants to screw up traffic on the 405 because Secret Service has to shut down everything at sunset so she can get in and out of Brentwood.
She wants a photo op with the fire victims.
There was that.
And so voters are familiar with her as the senator, as the vice president, and you just cannot quantify the importance of her name recognition. And
But is there a reason to vote for her with accomplishments, or is it just, I know that name?
This is the problem that she's going to face. If she were to run for governor of California, she would be a lot like Dick Nixon. She would be doing it to stay relevant so she could run for president again. It's not like she's been sitting around thinking about California subjects and she's been trying to come up with solutions for the problems that we have. She doesn't care, and she thinks it's beneath her. Well, if she doesn't care and she thinks it's beneath her, then guess what? You're not going to do the reading you have to do. You're not going to go to the meetings you have to go to. You're not going to be prepared. And when you go up and you debate other people, or you sit down with newspaper editorial boards, or go on television and radio to be interviewed, and they ask you specific questions about these very complex problems, and you just give them nothing but platitudes, and you've got someone with Eleni Kounalakis' money to destroy your reputation, that could be a toxic cocktail. There is no guarantee that this woman is going to win.
There's nobody in the current field who has the statewide name recognition that Harris does.
But if Harris does not run...
Not even Katie Porter?
Not even her.
Not even Rob Bonta? Oh, yeah, that's right. He's not running because the indictment's coming any day now.
Good luck, Rob.
But if Harris does not run, the poll found Porter, as of now, would have the strongest support. Still, in that scenario, 45% of respondents say they're...
What does it say about the field of people that have declared that they're running, that two people that have not said they're running are kicking their butts?
Well, this is also a function of the Democrats in California giving Gavin Newsom complete control of the government all through COVID and beyond. If we have essentially a monarch dictating what we do here in the state, then if you're in the state assembly, you're not relevant. If you're in the state senate, you're not relevant. If you're a statewide constitutional office holder, you're not relevant. So if you're not relevant to the day-to-day lives of the people you govern, why should they know who you are?
Still, in that scenario, 45% of respondents say they're undecided. Matt Taglia of Emerson College Polling helped conduct the survey.
With Harris out of the picture, I think that this is an open contest.
On the issues, more than 6 out of every 10 respondents said the state should spend more on firefighter staffing and equipment.
Only 6 in 10? Who are the 4 in 10 that said, I would like us to pay less for firefighters?
That's a very good question.
On immigration, 56% of respondents indicated mass deportations are a bad thing for the state, while 44% said they're a good thing.
It's a closer margin than you would think in California.
Yeah, and that means if it's at 44%, there's a lot of Democratic districts who are very okay with what's going on.
Just over half of the respondents think California's high-speed rail project is a good use of state funds, while just under half think it's not.
Okay, so that means half the state is totally checked out.
And as for our current governor, Gavin Newsom, among California voters from across the spectrum, the poll found he has 42% approval and 40% disapproval, while President Trump in the...
Does that mean 12% of Californians don't know who Gavin Newsom is?
Probably.
President Trump in the Golden State has 37% approval and 53% disapproval.
Think about that. In the state of California, Gavin Newsom's approval rating is only 5 points higher than Trump's.
That tells you everything you need to know.
I think what we're seeing with respect to President Trump's numbers in California is a couple of things. One is obviously California is still a blue state. California did not go for President Trump, but there is a significant amount of support for him. And I think more than there used to be. Obviously, look at the national popular vote. Look at the Electoral College. They both went for President Trump. Look at what happened in the U.S. Senate, in Congress. People are voting for Republicans right now.
And speaking of Republicans, not included in the poll, Riverside County Sheriff Republican Chad Bianco.
Oh, there we go. Somebody else who says he's probably running that was not included in the poll.
Same thing with Steve Hilton.
He has hinted in the past he's interested in running for governor, and he just announced he'll make what he describes as a major announcement next week. Reporting at the state capitol, covering local news that matters, Eitan Wallace, Fox 40 News.
There you go, the latest on the poll that was only polling Democrats of Democrat candidates that said Kamala would get 56% support.
So here's the question that we have for you right now at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. And that is this. If Kamala Harris runs for governor of California and ends up on the November ballot, do you think she could lose to a Republican? California is now a deep blue state where no Republicans have any statewide offices. But let me tell you, when individuals run for offices that they have no business running for because they have no ideas as to what to do to deal with the problems that face that particular statewide constitutional office, they tend to get in trouble. Think about this. When Dick Nixon lost in 1960 when he ran for president, as a consolation prize to stay relevant, he came back to California and ran for governor in 1962, back when California was a red state. He lost to Pat Brown. Look at what happened to Geraldine Ferraro. She was the VP candidate under Walter Mondale in 1984. She was the congresswoman from the state of New York. She ran and she lost for the United States Senate not once, but twice. Then you have Sarah Palin. She was the VP nominee under John McCain. She ran for a seat in Congress in Alaska, a very deep Republican state. She lost. And then you've got Walter Mondale himself. He was the VP under Jimmy Carter. He ran for U.S. Senate in Minnesota when Paul Wellstone's plane went down, and the Democrats needed a candidate. He lost to a Republican in Minnesota, which is a deep blue state. There's no guarantee that Kamala Harris is going to win if she runs for governor. In fact, I think there's a good chance she would lose. What say you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222? If Kamala Harris runs for governor of California, do you think a Republican could win? I do. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to listen to us all weekend long, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is go to KABC.com, click on podcasts.
Quite frankly.
Go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes.
Quite frankly.
Do a Google on the YouTube.
Quite frankly.
Or get that handy-dandy KABC app. Search KABC AM in the Apple App Store or the Android Store.
Quite frankly.
It's the easiest way,
Quite frankly.
to listen live to this radio station.
Quite frankly.
And download all the podcasts.
Quite frankly.
All right. If you think Kamala Harris could lose to a Republican for governor in California, I would love to hear from you. Or maybe you don't. Either way, I want to hear from you if you have strong opinions at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Right now, we're taking your calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If Kamala Harris were to run for governor in 2026, do you think a Republican could win? And I'm going to add one more aspect to this story into the mix. It was reported this morning in Politico that if Kamala Harris were to run for governor, former U.S. ambassador to Germany and friend of this show, Richard Grenell, may throw his hat in the ring and run against her. Not only does Grenell have experience at the federal level as Director of National Intelligence and ambassador to Germany, now he is Donald Trump's point man on making sure federal dollars are spent correctly in dealing with the fires. So he will have hands-on experience fixing the problems that we face here in California. That could be an interesting wrinkle that shakes up the race for governor. All right, what say you at 800-222-5222? Let's go to Denzel in L.A. Denzel, hello.
Hey, John and Randy, how you guys doing?
Good.
I'm calling because I've been listening to you guys now for about 2 years. I'm 24. I'm African-American from Los Angeles, California. Unfortunately, I believe that Kamala Harris could win because, for example, she's going to have all of that minority support. Like my parents, my grandparents, family, friends, they all love her. I just don't see why.
Well, here's something that's a fact. When she ran in the Democratic primary against Grampy Joe back in 2020, she thought that she would win in a rout in places like South Carolina, where there are large numbers of black voters in the Democratic primary. And South Carolina was, in fact, where Biden bounced back and beat her because black voters sided with Biden over Kamala Harris. You look at the numbers in the general election against Trump this time. Biden did better than Harris among black voters, among Latinos, among Asians, among gays, among any number of minority groups in 2020 than Harris did in 2024. If that slide continues, she could lose even more ground.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But then again, I think it goes back to another point, too. I'm not sure if it was you or Randy that said it. Her name recognition, a lot of people are just going to be like, whoa, I recognize that name, more than Katie Porter or whoever else.
Sir, are you not wearing your seatbelt, or are you going backwards at Costco?
Sorry, it's just the truck. The truck makes weird noise.
It's okay. It sounds like when I'm making something in the microwave in the morning and I get distracted with something else. And my coffee's hot again.
Thank you
for the call, sir. I appreciate it. Let's go to Mary in Orange County. Mary, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I just want to say that, one, I'm not sure where these polls came from. They may have came from the legislature in California, because they'd be the only ones that would, approve of Kamala, because she would carry on Gavin Newsom's destruction of California. I just don't see her winning in California. We didn't vote for her to be president when she was running against Biden to try and be president way back when. Why would we vote for her for governor? It just makes no sense. As for Grinnell, I think he would be an excellent candidate to run against her, only because he's on the money. He has common sense. He's on the ground. He talks sense. I just don't see it. Even the black vote. She's not done anything for the black vote in California when she was the AG. What would change it now? Nothing would change it. Even for Hispanics, and I am Hispanic, okay, I don't see her that way. And I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, but I do look at what is happening to this state, and she is not going to change anything. She's not going to make it better. I just don't see it.
What do your Democratic friends and family members think about her?
They don't like her. They don't like her because of her record. Her record, when she was AG, all the things that have happened in California with her, the way that she moved up, within the political realm. It's very disturbing. And when she was running for president, this lady couldn't hold a sentence. It was very, very, I looked at this and I was like, why would they use this woman as the, pretend nominee, because nobody voted for her to run in that election, and just push her up there, honestly believing that she was going to win. I knew she was going to lose. She was going to lose against Trump. And, I'm not a great fan of Trump. I'm really not, but he makes common sense. And right now, that's what we need in this country. And that's what my family and friends all think. Some of them will not be vocal about it because here in California, you can get attacked. So they won't be vocal about it, but I believe they would not choose her for governor. I just don't see it. I don't see that.
Well, thank you very much for the call. I appreciate that. Here's something else to think about. It's not just that people judge her based on her actions or inactions when she was in office here in California. There are a lot of Democrats out there who hate Donald Trump with the hot, hot hate of 1,000 suns, who blame her for running a bad campaign against him. And because she ran a bad campaign, they felt they didn't beat a candidate that they should have been able to beat. And then you have to look at it this way too. If she doesn't have any interest in the office and she's running to stay relevant, what is she running to stay relevant for? And the answer is to run for president again. Well, if you're a Democrat and you blame her for losing to Donald Trump and you hate Donald Trump, if you vote for her for governor, this is essentially the first primary in 2028. Because if she wins, she's going to immediately start running for president. And you look at those polls in the Democratic primary for president, she's leading in all of them, and she's leading by wide margins. You give her relevancy and you give her a shot in the arm, what you're essentially doing is setting yourself up to nominate her for president again. And if Donald Trump can beat her, and Donald Trump has a successful 4 years, and don't forget, he is more popular now than he has ever been. If he is successful as president, and J.D. Vance is the Republican candidate coming from a successful administration running against Kamala Harris, the governor of California that has 1,000,001 problems, what do you think is going to happen? He's going to stomp all over her. If you're a Democrat and you're voting for governor, you better think long and hard before you vote for her, because if you vote for her, you're voting for her essentially in the first Democratic primary for president too. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Mike writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, Michelle writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and says, John, you don't think she can win the race for governor? You underestimate the stupidity of California voters.
Now, who do you think she's madder at? Me for underestimating the stupidity of California voters, or you for changing her sex?
Me.
Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hello, John. Yeah, Kamala Harris is my worst nightmare. She's never going to go away. She's going to be the governor. She's going to run around with her big taxpayers paid entourage while she campaigns out of the state for half of her term. The big question is, can she beat J.D. Vance?
Yeah, you're right. Voting for her is like subscribing to Sirius satellite radio. You just can't ever cancel it.
Thanks, John. Hey, should I call Randy Randella from now on?
You do whatever you want, Dale. I'm down.
All right. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Vanessa in West Covina. Vanessa, hello.
Hi, how are you? I love your show.
Thank you.
My family and friends are outraged that Kamala is thinking of running for governor for this state. It would be a disaster. She had a disaster running for president. She couldn't even answer a question or put a sentence together that a 6-year-old can. Her and Joe had the border opened. 20 million illegals came in. They had them up in luxury hotels, giving them 13,000 of food stamps, while people here in California and everywhere else are barely making ends meet. This is she's going to run this state furthermore. Not that it's not. Gavin Newsom already has the state halfway done, and she would just run it to the ground. We need someone like President Trump to recover the state from bankruptcy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. We have 2 more hours coming on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California Hour is next. Don't you go anywhere. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.